Hello everyone, and welcome back to episode number 4 of the Buying and Selling series. So today we're going to talk about how long does it take to buy a condo in Toronto? And this is a very subjective question again, because it really varies from person to person. Some people will go out and see the first place and they'll say, that's perfect, I'm done, let's go. Submit the offer and away they go, that's their new place. Some people will take 20, 30, 40, 50 showings in 2 years to find something. And either is valid. Some people, they need that time to acclimatize themselves to what's in the market and they want to see everything. And some people say, I know what I want, this is it, let's go. So for us, we kind of did a hybrid approach to this. So I'd actually started a search profile for myself early on in the year on my website, TorontoRealEstate.ca, shameless plug. So it was a great way to find out, what properties were in the areas that we were looking at, in the price range that we were looking at, and just see what's available, right? For those couple of months before we started seriously looking, I just wanted to get educated on, what's really happening with the marketplace right now and what can I expect for the price range that I'm going into. So that was where we took that approach. We started looking at stuff probably in May, June, really started looking seriously online, but it wasn't until August that we actually started our first in-person showing. So this first in-person showing was actually over in Corktown, so not too far from us in Distillery District, and it was a great unit. It was a 2+ den, it was over 1,000 square feet, so met a lot of our criteria, had a really nice view across to Corktown Commons, the park there. But the biggest issue with that is the price, and I'll discuss that in the next episode about what was the offer process like. But that property we did actually submit an offer on, but we got rejected. So that sucked. So we actually continued searching, and right afterwards there was a 3-bed townhouse that came up in Corktown as well. And while the size of this unit was really great, it didn't have any privacy because it was a townhouse unit that you could walk right from the street into the unit, which is really handy. The downside is that you had people walking by basically all day, so it lacked any sort of privacy of, if you left your blinds open, people are just going to be staring at you while you're sitting on the couch or in bed or whatever. So that wasn't really what we were looking for. So we kept on looking, and we went over to Harbourfront, actually, the west side of Harbourfront, to check out 2 townhouses there that were a little bit bigger. There was one that was around 1,200 square feet, and there was one that was around 1,350 square feet. And these matched a lot of what we were looking for in terms of space, location, layout. The biggest issue there was the price. They were just a bit beyond our price point, but we wanted to see, if we did stretch that little bit extra, what would we get? And it was something that we decided, we could have that extra space at this time, but it wasn't necessary for us, and I'd rather not be in such a tight financial situation if we were to purchase something like that. So we decided to keep on looking. After that, we then went back to Corktown, and there was a 3-bed condo there that was sitting on the market, and I just couldn't figure out why, because on paper it sounded pretty good. The price point was good, the space was good, but when I got to the unit, it had no privacy. It was basically facing into another condo building right across, and then the other downside was that there was construction just to the west of the building, so you'd be hearing construction noise for the next 5 years or so, and that's just not something that we were looking for. So at this point, we're about a month or 2 into our search, and we start realizing, we might need to start looking at some other areas. So we actually expanded out to the beaches, and there was a 2+ den condo that came up at Queen and Coxwell in one of the newer buildings there, that the location would actually work for us, because I grew up in the beaches and I really love the area. But the downside with the unit, it was just a very, very odd layout. While it had the square footage, the orientation of it just wasn't going to work for how we wanted, and the price point that they were expecting was just too much. So again, that was another one that we put to the side and kept on looking. And then we found a huge condo, 2+ den up at Kingston Road and almost Vic Park area. And that was a massive unit. It was like 1,200, 1,300 square feet all on one floor, which when you have that much square footage on one floor, you really feel it. But the downside was that it was in an older building and the maintenance fees were quite high. And the problem with older buildings that are small is that if anything does go wrong with them, they don't have a lot of units to split the cost between. And it was just going to make the finances a little bit too tight if those maintenance fees were to increase. So we decided to, again, put that one kind of on the back burner. It might have been one, if we got it at the right price, we could work it, but it just wasn't totally what we were looking for. So then we went on to look at another 2-bed condo in the Beaches, this time down at Woodbine and Queen. And this was a really nice unit. The layout was very functional. The downside to it was that it didn't really have any view, and it had very low ceilings. It had 8-foot ceilings, which I had been coming from a condo that had 11-foot ceilings previously. So this is a big shift, and it's something that just impacts you psychologically, I think, just having lower ceilings. So that was one that the price point and the concessions that were having to be made just wasn't what we were looking for. So we kept on looking, and then there was another townhouse, a condo townhouse that came up in like further into the Beaches and Beaches proper, closer to Beach Ave on Queen. And that was a really cool unit. It was a 2-bed, pretty good square footage, and it actually had a wood-burning fireplace, which was really, really neat. But it was very dark, and that was something that we said, we want to have a lot of natural light, and if it's this dark through the winter, this just isn't going to work. So we kept on looking, and then we came across this place that I'm in right now, actually. So this unit in Regent Park came up, and it basically met all of the criteria that we were looking for: space, size, indoor and outdoor, layout, parking locker, all of those things it met. The only concession was the location. And so that's what we're going to talk about in the next episode, is how did we know that we found the right place? How did we feel confident enough to put in an offer, after having looked at everything? So that's what we're going to talk about in the next episode. But just recap, what was our showing process like? We started in August, and by November, we had an accepted offer that was all done. So just over in that 3-month range, and we had 10 showings and 2 offers submitted during that time, the second offer being the one that we got accepted. So overall, not that long. As I said, there's people that take 20, 30, 50 showings in 2 years to buy something. There's people that take one property in 1 day to find something. So I think we were kind of in that middle ground. But yeah, we're going to talk next episode about how we really knew that this was the right place that we wanted to submit an offer on. So make sure you to leave a like down below, comment if you have any questions about what we talked about on today's episode, and I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Bye.